we're asking for is not what we're getting. Right now, our budget is $38,464,041 projected for next year. Out of this, state revenue is $21,368,000. Our federal grants are $1.387 million. Federal funds are $160,000. State miscellaneous is $200,000. Other revenues is $200,000. And hopefully, local revenue will be $15,048,394. The key word was hopefully. That's an increase of $1.4 million roughly from last year. Out of that, $340,000 is coming from the state. We get another $100,000 from federal grants. We're losing $30,000 in another federal grant. We're picking up $230,000 more miscellaneous state revenue. And local revenue, we were asking for $850,322. This is all based on an ADM of 4,210 children. That's the revenue part. This part I'm going to talk about now is where that money is going to go and what it's going to be used for. I want you to understand from the beginning, our main goal is teacher raises. Right now, we're so far behind our surrounding counties, and I'm including Columbia Beach and Carolina, that we're trying our best to get caught up. Our budget pretty much is flat funded. Only thing we focus on was raises. Every category that we had, except for personnel, really truthfully was not increased, which is a disservice to our children. But that's what we had to do. Out of this money that we're asking, the $1.4 million, this is our 4th-year ERS system increase for our employees. So that's $220,000 right off the top that has to be paid no matter what. The additional instructional personnel, we've got 3 teachers that we have to hire for the elementary levels. Our numbers now are at the bottom, per se, with the younger children more so than with the older children. And with the middle school and high school, we can have more kids per classroom, where elementary, we try to keep them in the low 20s as possible. This year, we're looking at 40 teachers just for the middle school and high school. We're looking at a reading specialist and a special ed teacher. We're also looking at a foreign language and a new science teacher for the middle school and the high school. In special education, we have 5 staff positions that we have to have IEPs to define these needs. We've got to get these no matter what. We don't have a choice. We have to have them. We have them now, but they're contracted out. The contracted service is so much higher than hiring an actual employee. That's a psychologist, a speech therapist, behavior specialist, an interpreter, and an occupational therapist. Like I said, we have those now. We have to pay those people. They're not our employees. We're trying to get those as our employees, which will make it cheaper for us and we'll save money. The state has given us 1.5% for raises. That is only for SOQ position, people that's in our division. SOQ stands for quality. That is not every employee that we have. People think it's all the way across the board. It's not. The state defines what the standards of quality is, and these are the people that you can hire, and these are the people that will help pay. After that, everything else falls upon us. So, and it's not, don't think the standards of quality is up here. Standards of quality is down here. It's the bare minimum. It's nothing special about it. I mean, some schools, we have 500 kids, you're not allowed to have a assistant principal. I mean, it's just, to me, it's really ludicrous, but it's Virginia, so that's where I live, and I love Virginia. So. This year, to try to get caught up, and like I say, we focus on the raises, we came up with a 2-year plan to hopefully get us, I'm not saying we can get ahead of time, I'm talking about to try to get caught up. What we base it on, we call it 47. The first step on our pay scale would be, we're trying to get to 40 in 2 years. The 30th step on our payroll, we're trying to get to 70,000. Then divide it in between. Generally speaking, there's a 1.8% increase in between each step after that. That's generally speaking where all this, the majority of the 850,000 is going to. And this only includes the first 30 steps. We have people way over 30 steps that will just get to 1.5. They won't get this 3% that we're trying to get to. And then the only other thing we have a new facility, and that's not that big a deal. I don't even want to put it on piece of paper, but it's like $10,000 to $50,000 a year, so that's not a big deal. Again, all our appropriation categories did move except for the personnel part of it, and that's all it was. And I know that sounds like a lot of money, but as far as the local part of the budget, it's less than, we're asking for less than 1% that we did the year before, which in the big scheme of things, as big as our budget is, that's not a lot of money. So, I'm short and sweet, so I don't know what I talk. Y'all have questions, I'll be glad to answer.
You have questions about the schools?
I want to be sure I'm correct. I was at the budget meeting in 2014 when Mr. Benson told the supervisors that King George school salaries were below every surrounding county all the way through. Because I remember Mr. Grazika said, oh, that's only in the beginning. And Christine Tolliver said, no, we confirmed this morning with all of the jurisdictions that we are behind and below everybody. It's a known fact that they come here, they work for 2 or 3 years, can't get a job anywhere else, you come to King George, and then you move to a department that pays. Question, that, and at that point, the Board of Supervisors acted like they were shocked. They didn't notice at that budget meeting a year ago. And they were going to do something about it. Yes, we will do something about it. But now am I understanding all of a sudden, well, maybe we aren't going to do quite so much. Is that kind of where they're going? Or we'll pick the place where we lose the most teachers and maybe concentrate on that. And then did I understand that we are going to offer early retirement to the experienced teachers so that we can afford to hire more brand new teachers so that we can keep them and hope they become experienced teachers? Did they ever teach math in this county? There's something here that's completely wrong.
You had like 10 questions, so.
Yeah.
Where you need to take a break so I can answer your question, then you go to the next
Is
one.
that a correct scenario, or have I missed?
We had to come up with a solution to be able to afford what we're trying to do. Yes, we did an early retirement for ERP. Spotsylvania has done it. And they don't do it every year, but you do it every maybe 3 to 4 or 5 years. I don't know if we'll do it again. We just tried it. It hopefully will, and this only depends on who all does retire. And they're not all teachers that are retired. And that's what everybody kind of thought, that it would just be experienced teachers that retire. It's not really. I've seen the list, and I can't elaborate on the list, but I've seen it because it's not confirmed yet. But it's not like that. It's all employees that are retired. And to be honest with you, what it's, in my opinion, what's really hurting a lot of us is our experienced bus drivers are retired. And I'm not trying to downgrade a teacher or anything like that, but that really hurts because those are the hardest people we have to try to fill as bus drivers. We lose maybe 5 of those experienced ones. But in the same token, don't think we're losing these people because they still can come back to work for us after a certain period of time. They just can't get retirement again. They're losing their retirement because they're drawing their retirement.
Oh, whoopee, come to King George and lose your retirement.
No, they're not losing. They're taking it. They're taking their retirement, but they just can't keep adding to it because they're taking it. You can't do it both ways.
They're getting a bonus also.
They're
according
getting
to
their
the
bonus.
newspaper.
They're
We're
getting
paying
30.
them to leave, experience to leave, so we can keep others that will eventually get experience.
And that was an issue that I
Yes.
raised at the work session, is won't your professional development costs increase to establish the new teachers that you're hiring versus having the experienced
And
teachers?
considering 60% of the schools in King George did not qualify under SOL, we maybe need to keep some experienced teachers.
Again, you keep focused on the fact that you think it's teachers. I can't tell you who it is, but it's
But
not.
some of them are teachers, right? Or none of them are teachers.
It's offered to all employees,
It's offered to
correct?
all employees. It's offered to all employees. And when the list comes out, you'll see the list. And it might be a few, but it's really not. It's not that many teachers. And I'm saying, if it's not that many people anyway, it's probably going to end up being maybe 10 to 15 people. And I don't think it's 2 teachers right now. And I'm not saying they're not necessarily poor teachers. Put it that way. They could be gym teachers. They could be stuff like that. So you got to understand that too. And I'm sorry for being vague, but I can't say people's names to this
You
person.
see the point I'm making. It
I
doesn't
understand
sound
what you're
very
making. But sometimes this is what we had to do to try to come up with enough money to give these raises. Yes, Ms. Paul.
John, I'm interested in the budget and ways of the region. And I'm interested in what the RLE, for those of you who don't know what the RLE is, it's required local effort that's mandated by the state that the county has to pay us, pay the schools, has to pay the schools in order to grow the SOQs. What is our RL leadership?
Composite index is 0.3774, and actually it's coming right around to me. That's what the county is required.
What percentage is that?
I don't know. I just go by numbers, percentages are misleading. But it's around 10 million is what they're required to give us.
Okay.
So they can give us over and above what
And
this
that,
process.
that requirement just gives you the bare minimums, as John said, SOQs, which means in basic, reading, writing, and arithmetic. It doesn't include language, it doesn't include sports.
Nurses,
It figures for 25 students per classroom. It figures at a salary below what we want to pay our teachers, believe it or not.
Yep.
So anything above that, the county has to kick in and pay more. Counties up in north of us, they usually pay about 80–90% above the ROE.
We're one of the lowest in the
We
state
have
of
been
Virginia.
the lowest since I can remember.
One of the lowest in the state.
Hey, John,
Yes, sir. Salute.
one thing that I'm always interested in, I always ask and get very little answers on, because it's a hard question, is I don't know how to evaluate how good a job our schools are doing in educating our kids. And I ask about measures of quality, measures of whatever, and I know this is a hard thing to answer, but I kind of would be real happy if the school board made some attempt at helping us understand how good a job the schools are doing relative to those in our surrounding county, or how good they are. We can't go pound on people like Ruby and Joe and Dale
Right.
and all of our supervisors unless we have that information. So there you go.
ISOL reports are published. They're in the freelance star all the time. I mean, that article comes up quite often saying, these are the schools that passed SOL, these are the schools that didn't, and vice versa, whatever. We do all right, but you gotta understand, every time you get the child caught up, they change your SOL. They change your benchmarks each time. So you're still going higher, 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 which is nothing wrong with that, don't get me wrong. And you also gotta, we're getting there, and then they keep changing the test. So basically, truthfully, all we do is teach to a test. And that's unfortunate. And I've said this many times, and I'll go to my grave saying this. Our children might know the person that's on your money or their money, but they'll never know who that person was if it's not on that SOL test. And that's a shame. I mean, I know who Ben Franklin is, people like that. I don't have one in my pocket, but I know who that is.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure SOL as one single number is a very good
And they drive
measure of
Virginia.
how good a school's doing.
But we're starting to finally not be required to do as many. So they're finally starting to see that this is not the cure-all that they thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Thank you, John.
Yes, sir.
To go along with Jim's comment, to try to help you advocate to explain why you need more money, for his idea, of course, was graduation rates or whatever. You mentioned bus drivers, and that, in my mind, if you have 5 buses late and there's 30 kids on each bus, you have 150 parents out there who just missed an hour of work every day. That
And the
happens.
child missed instruction time.
Yeah, okay, but just to bring it home to the parent, how many hours of vacation they have to burn, or how many hours of work do they just miss over this year of instruction? Would they rather pay $30 more in taxes to have a bus driver that will show up on time? And, how much money? So that's just another metric you might catch to show why you need this extra funding, and that will directly, it won't hurt the parent because they're not going to miss work, they're not going to miss vacation.
I mean, I agree with you.
It's not a loss to them.
We have to focus so much on teacher salaries that sometimes the other categories that we have kind of get pushed to the back burner, and that's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. Because bus drivers do a heck of a job. Yes, sir. Oh.
First thing, I just want to say that I am a proponent for, I think I said that right, I am for public schools. but I think it's horrendous, excluding Ruby, and I've been at these board meetings, where the supervisors are requiring the school board, which is a separate identity from them, requiring you to even meet with them before they're going to release the budget, like they did in August. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I've been reading probably too much lately. I read in the newspaper that Grzika required the school board to bring 2 sets of budgets. No, I want to make sure I've got that clarified. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, you got that correct, but you got to also realize, I don't work for Joe Kazik, and I
Well,
don't work for
no. I just want to clarify this to the citizens, because other counties, including watchdog.org, who I've gotten to be very good friends with, not friends, I just speak the truth, think it's insane that a school board has to report to a board of supervisors. They are a separate elected identity. They are not, like this gentleman said, they are not their boss. And we need to get on these supervisors. And they don't hold the final say to anything. Nobody basically cares. Sedell Brooks is not even going to board meetings. Why would he care about what his 4th graders learning? The rest of the board has people that are graduating next year. They don't care. They dictate this whole entire county. It's not fair to the school board. Now, this is a question to you. Your interpreter. I did a FOIA wanting to know how many illegal children were being educated at the board in our school districts. Is that interpreter for the children or for the parents? Okay,
That's not that type of interpreter.
okay. I just wanted to.
Special ed is not.
Okay, I just wanted to get clarification on that.
It's not-
Thank you.
It's not ESL. To go back to Mrs. Coombs, we met, and Mr. Rubik, correct me if I'm wrong, we met, I don't know, we met November, December or something. We had our little work session. When we laid out all the salaries, we laid out our expansion for the current middle school to bring the 6th grade up to alleviate the overcrowding that's in our elementary schools right now. They were all on board, and I'm not saying nothing bad about you because you were on our side. They were all on board with this. They were all on board, let's get this, let's get this. Then this two budget, I wouldn't know why, as chairman, I'm not going to present 2 budgets to anybody. And I wasn't directed to, and he can't direct me to do anything, I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. My responsibility is to those children and to my staff. That's it. So we came up with our, I mean, if I had brought another budget, you think I'd have brought a cheaper one? Truthfully, I would have brought one up here. Then maybe you would have picked the one that I wanted. I mean, that's just a game, and I don't have time for games. I mean, I'm sorry, that's just what it is.
School board members, don't you have other things to do besides just come up with budget?
I got that.
I assume the one you came up with was the
Yes,
best
ma'am.
one.
I'm quite busy every day.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Do you know what the current turnover rate amongst your instructional staff is year to year?
Last year, I think, what, 20, 30, something like that. But it's not all for us. You always got to understand, it's not all for the same reasons. A lot of it's for different reasons. And there are some, a lot of them are salary. I'm not going to say they're not.
It's a 20%, give or take,
Yeah.
year to year. I know my son's teacher this year is the first year's teacher, so third grade.
We have just a couple more minutes before we have to move on to the next forum. I just want to state, so at this point, if you have any additional questions for the sheriff or Mr. Davis with regards to schools. So I'm opening it up to either one of them.
Thanks for coming here and speaking with us today. A couple of years ago, I talked to somebody that they had a special needs child, and you talked about that part of the budget right now. And he was told that he was better off doing homeschool because our special needs program, now granted this is about a year ago, but our special needs program is behind. How do you rate our special needs program now, and what do we need to do budget-wise to improve that so we don't have students that rather stay home?
I think it was longer than probably a couple of 2 years ago. We changed who was in charge of it. And from that point on, when I first got on the board 4 years ago, that was our main focus, was we had a lot of complaints with special ed. changed that over. That person was no longer there. We put a new person in. And for the last 4 years, that person has been cleaning up everything that was wrong and adhering to the IEPs that the children had. And as a board member, truthfully, I hear very little about special ed anymore. So it's getting better. And whoever that person was, you tell them to call me if they told me that, because I'd like to talk to them. Because I don't ever want anybody to say that to any child. Truthfully. So.
One last question. Anybody?
What's the ratio of homeschool versus, I guess we have what, 5,000 students in the school?
We have 4,222 right now.
Is there
Well,
any-
that was it last week.
Is there any any way to know how many homeschool students we have?
I don't pay much attention to it, to be honest with you. Ms. Hawk probably knows better than I do.
Tell us all.
I coordinate and supervise home instruction. At the current time, we have about 450 students, more or less, who are home instructed. And home instruction is different from homebound services, that some students who have special needs receive homebound, which is paid for and supported by our division. That's a different entity from home instruction. And our home instruction families in this community are wonderful. They're doing an excellent job. They report progress. We have a wonderful relationship as a village with our home instruction families. So, I mean, it's a very positive kind of activity. If parents have concerns, as Ms. Davis said, call us. You know, we really will talk through whatever's going on with the individual families. I love the home instruction family.
And not all those are, don't get me wrong, some of them are because they don't like us. They can do a better job, and I'm fine with that. It's your child, you do what you want. Some of them are for religious reasons and other things too, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So we are going to transition into the candidate workshop, and to get started, I thought it would be exciting if folks who are running for office want to take